What's up everyone, it's Brady here with Gonzandoak and Nova, and in this video we're going to talk about an evidence-based way to program your chest training for optimal gains. If you're seeking optimal growth in the gym, it all comes down to really your programming. Is your programming sufficient enough to give you the stimulus to grow in an optimal way? And so in this video, we're gonna dig down into chest training, basically how to train correctly, and probably touch up on some of the myths out there when it comes to training your chest. We're gonna talk about how many sets you should do per week, which movements are best, how to develop your full chest, and yeah, let's just get into it. So first off, I wanna point out that there's no such thing as targeting your upper inner or your upper outer or your lower inner or your lower outer chest. These are all the myths that I grew up believing, that if you do this one movement, then it'll grow right here. And this movement will grow down here, and it's just not like that. In fact, actually your chest is broken up into two muscles, your clavicular pectoral major and then your sternal pectoral major, also known as your clavicular head and your sternal head of your pec major. Another common belief is that you have a lower chest muscle. This actually really isn't true. You just have lower fibers as part of your sternal head. The main thing that we want to focus on here is that by developing properly your upper chest and the main portion of your chest, you're going to see development everywhere in your chest muscle, not just one spot. So if you want the biggest chest possible, this is how you do it. This is the video for you. And it all comes down to properly developing the entire chest muscle. Now your clavicular head or your upper chest, which gives you that chest shelf, it's definitely kind of like harder to train and harder to develop than the rest of your chest. So it may be a good idea, if your goal is to grow your upper chest, to start prioritizing it. Perhaps you would consider training half of your volume for your chest on just your upper chest, while the other half on the rest of your chest. This is something I personally do, but I think it's really goal dependent. But once you know which aspects of your chest you'd like to develop the most and what your main goals are, we can go into programming tips. For starters, I would always pick a compound movement like the bench press, or maybe even the dumbbell bench press, something that you can progressively overload over time using mostly weights, but also by sets. What I mean by that is the bench press, my favorite lift. I know I'm getting stronger if after a month or so I'm pushing more weight on the bench. Thus, I have progressively overloaded. I also know that I can progressively overload by adding sets. So maybe at the beginning of a training block, I'm only doing 2 sets of bench press on a Monday. And then by the end of the training block, I'm doing 4 sets of bench press on a Monday. Little things like this are gonna progressively overload your muscles and force them to grow. After that, I would move on to an isolation exercise that focuses on the part of the chest that you would like to focus on more. For me, that's my upper chest. So I'm gonna do an incline fly. This is an isolation movement, which means that the fatigue will be low, but the stimulus can be high. Focus on tempo, moving slow, concentrating on the weight. The eccentric portion of the lift, or the going down part of the lift, should be about 2 to 3 seconds long, which kind of proves that you are in control of the weight, which adds more stimulus, which forces more muscle fibers to be activated, which causes more growth. After that isolation exercise, I would focus on another compound movement. And for me, because focusing on my upper chest, I would choose an incline chest press machine, or even an incline bench press. Now in this current situation, what I would do next is I would choose another isolation movement, but this time I would keep it neutral. So the focus is on the main portion of your chest, your sternal head. This can be something like a cable fly or like a pec deck machine. Both of these are awesome. And like I said, it's an isolation movement, so the fatigue is gonna be low, but the stimulus is probably gonna be pretty high. Now what you don't wanna do is do too many sets of chest in one day. We know that around 10 sets a day per muscle group is gonna be kind of the higher end, or like the maximum amount that you're gonna get the most benefit from. Doing more than 10 sets per muscle group in a day for most people isn't gonna be much more beneficial. And so knowing this, we can tell you that about 10 to 20 sets a week of chest is going to be optimal. Now I know that that's a big range, but what you should do is at the beginning of your training cycle, start lower, maybe start at 10 or 12 sets per week. And as you progress through the training block, add maybe a couple of sets every week and see how your growth goes from there. But typically 20 sets of chest per week is the maximum amount of recoverable volume. Anything more than that, and you're actually probably gonna lose gains. And so if you're doing 10 to 20 sets, and let's say that upper chest is your main focus, perhaps you would choose 50 to 75% of that volume to be more on your upper chest, Me personally, I shoot for about 50%, and I've seen great results with this, so I definitely feel comfortable suggesting that and trying that out for yourself. Now, if you are strength training, for instance, if you're trying to get better at the bench press, then maybe you will be training a bit more often because frequency really increases strength a lot. But for hypertrophy, I would definitely stick with that 2 times a week, maybe 3 times a week, and only do 4 times a week if you feel like you're recovering fast enough. All right, but there you go, guys. That is how you should effectively train your chest. Picking the right movements, making sure it's well balanced and focused on the 2 different portions of the chest, making sure that you are in control of the weight, that you're using correct tempo, making sure that you're doing the right amount of sets. And as far as reps, it doesn't really matter as long as you are lifting at a high intensity, meaning near failure, but not quite to failure. And that's how you're gonna see optimal gains for your chest. Thank you guys for watching the video. Real quick, down below, we have a link to our Facebook group page where we post informative content every single day. Literally, you just hop on and you get to learn more about fitness and how to improve your technique, how to improve your training altogether, and it's a really good resource for free information. So if you'd like to, go down below, hit the link, and join our Facebook group, and that's it, guys. That's the video. So give it a like, comment down below what your favorite chest exercise is. Hopefully it's bench press like mine, and we're gonna see you guys in the next video. Peace out.